long time no see. I am HHNCultus and welcome back to my channel. 4th of July season is over and it's finally time to get our spook on. Although every day is Halloween for many of us, but we can actually now focus on Halloween Horror Nights, which starts in 51 days. So let's start with what we already know. So the Horrors of Blumhouse gets announced along with their two new movies, The Black Phone and Freaky. In the trailer for Halloween Horror Nights, we are met by this cringe couple that is getting called by a friend to be picked up, and then they're met with the icon of Freaky, which is going to be the girl that swapped bodies with the serial killer. If you haven't seen it, then, you know, it's kind of like Freaky Friday meets another slasher film, that kind of thing. But it's a fun film, so go watch it. And then we also meet the other icon from The Black Phone. But, you know, I have some mixed feelings because Blumhouse houses either tend to be a hit or a miss, generally located next to the Fear Factor Theater. So I really hope that, you know, these two movies have two different themes, that they're able to smoothly transition between the two and have a really successful collaborative house, as you could say. The announcement before that, we actually get the original 1978 Halloween announced for Halloween Horror Nights 31. In the trailer, we are met by the skeptic, which they are watching a serial killer movie, slasher, what have you, probably the original 1978 Halloween, and they go to the kitchen or around their house, and they are unfortunate, yet fortunate for a lot of us if we actually come across Michael Myers in person. They get a little bit spooked out, the lights turn back on, and suddenly he's gone. But, you know, still shooken up. They just simply walk away, and then we actually get our lovely announcement for the house. So I'm going to assume that we are going to be experiencing something very similar that we have had in the past, where we actually had the facade of the house. But, you know, it's kind of fitting since Halloween Ends is coming out really soon. Now I'm going to take you back all the way to our very first announcement, which is Universal Monsters Legends Collide, featuring the Wolfman versus Dracula versus the Mummy. In the trailer, we are met by the Snacker, who is currently on their phone while leaving the movie theater. While that person is leaving the movie theater, the three posters basically come to life as they all battle for victory, or whatever this may entitle. Mind you, Universal Studios has actually released movies with monsters versus each other, but not in quite the way that we think of it. But this is actually a very smart, innovative way to actually continue on with the Universal monster story in the universe. So you all remember when The Weeknd tweeted this in the beginning of the year, right? I'm going to take this as the official announcement for Halloween Horror Nights featuring The Weeknd. Universal Studios always has a way to pull the younger crowd to its events, so they kind of get addicted, kind of like a lot of us did. For me, it wasn't quite the scenario. It's just because I liked horror, but something to attract a softer crowd to the event, probably bringing in a lot more money and that kind of thing. And honestly, I don't blame them. They did it for Alice Cooper, they did it for Rob Zombie, what would have been Billie Eilish, and now it's going to be The Weeknd. So I'm gonna assume that I don't think The Weeknd's gonna come out with anything new soon when it comes to music that is going to be featuring the music that is in Dawn FM, which has a lot of synthwave 80s vibe. Some of the music videos that have a horror influence in The Weeknd's music is Sacrifice and Gasoline. Very evidently Gasoline, which I think is going to be a good way to bring in that younger crowd, and especially bringing in a new type of flavor to the event. So now let's talk about speculation maps. By the way, and for time's sake, I am going to be skipping over the official announcements that are already in the speculation map. So we're going to be starting with number 1. It is going to be speculation map version 1, and the first one is Seaside Village. I'm going to assume that it's going to be an original and probably based on sea merchants, kind of like houses that we have had in the past, or something mermaid-esque. We don't know, but I think that would sound very cool. Kind of like Wicked Grove meets Seaside. because, you know, mermaids and the ocean is scary. You know, the thalassophobia, is that how you say it? The next one is Fear Street. We have been wishing for this one for a really, really long time, especially since Netflix released it in a very good time last year, and now we still haven't gotten it. But at the same time, there have been rumors that Universal might not be renewing their contract with Netflix, but we'll see. The next one is, they haven't done a video game IP in a while, and it is The Last of Us. Although I think this would be a very good idea. I feel like The Last of Us might be outdated, but at the same time, they have done Resident Evil, and Resident Evil stays true as a video game, especially in horror. And, you know, Howling Hornets has actually covered it. Look it up in the HHN wiki. The next one is Pandora's Box. So Pandora's Box has actually been featured at the LA event, and I don't think we have ever had it yet, and I think it would be interesting to actually finally have it on the East Coast, since they have had it for several years, and I'm kind of curious of bringing that kind of West Coast flavor to the event. So next up, El Chupacabra. So as you guys already know, Universal does tend to do some folklore horror original houses, I guess you want to say. In the West Coast, they actually have La Llorona that has been featured several times, especially since in LA it's fitting, especially with the demographic. And we have actually had other ones such as Bloody Mary and also the Yeti house. So El Chupacabra is the origin of Puerto Rico and Mexico. Hold on, let me just show up my pride really quick. But in all seriousness though, it would be kind of cool to get that kind of representation for Puerto Rico and Mexico when it comes to the folklore of El Chupacabra. So Underground Creatures is giving me serious The Hive vibes, if you guys remember that house from years ago, or the house where it had to do with all the swamp monsters living under Cary, Ohio. So I'm going to assume something original like that, or maybe something completely different. But either way, Underground Creatures, I am kind of down with the idea, especially if you're going to expand on Cary, Ohio lore. The original Evil Dead. Although we have actually gotten the Evil Dead house before, it was actually the remake and not the original. If we can actually get the original, I feel like it would definitely bring out all the stuff that they have done classic, as they have already done the classic original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Actually did it justice last year, and The Exorcist, and other slashers that hopefully are to come, especially Child's Play, which only happened a few times. Universal, please bring it back. Not as a photo booth. Next up, Speculation version 2. So now we actually are diving into the territory that, if we have all seen Stranger Things season 4, we clearly want this to happen. Stranger Things, which we have had in the past before. We have actually already covered season 1, 2, and 3 at the event, and we still haven't seen an announcement for 4. So Universal, please give us something, and I think it would be really cool for them to actually finish the entire series of Stranger Things as a house. But I can't also get my hopes up, because they also never went back to finish all the other seasons of American Horror Story. But I do understand that they have actually switched companies for IP to cover stuff for. Dead Man's Wharf, I'm going to assume it's going to be following the same structure as Seaside Village, probably changing the name, having to do with sailors and stuff by the shore. I see a lot of hype for this one. You guys are sick. Bug House on the speculation map, and there is a lot of hype on Twitter because of it, because I am thinking really big giant insects, you know, horrifying looking creepy crawlers at you. But I'm not opposed to the idea, because even though the spider in Harry Potter, the actually Forbidden Journey ride, creeps me out, I still think it would be a good idea as a house, especially if we had like giant insects or something of amorphous horrifying sort, more towards the monster side, but you know what I mean. Wicked Growth 2, even though we all know that we would personally want it back for this little guy, and then Howling Horror Nights Orlando kind of crushed our dreams. But either way, although I love this house so much, and all hail the Pumpkin King, I do not know if this is probably a possibility that it might come back, Maybe it will. We all like that house because it was fall season. It was the closest thing to fall season we could get. There was pumpkins everywhere, and it just fulfilled our little spooky soul. So let's be honest. Pumpkin guts. Speculation map 3. We see a lot of the titles come back from the previous maps, but the only difference is the original, the witch. I'm gonna assume that's going to be a very witchy house, very brouhaha, almost like Scary Tales, but a little bit more darker. That's the best I've got as a guess. So let me make this clear. I know nothing of what's going on in Universal Studios, especially for their event for Halloween Horror Nights. I'm just a fan that loves the speculation, loves talking about it. So let's get into what is the probability of all these houses actually showing up at Halloween Horror Nights 31. So Chupacabra appears 3 times on the speculation map. Dead Man's Wharf 3 times, because I actually count Seaside Village as it, because it's still within the theming and it's still in an original. And the Bug House twice. You may never know, but I really assume that this might be one of those really strong houses that Universal has up their sleeve to probably creep us out with the creepy crawlies, as I said. Evil Dead 2 times. It's a decent possibility for me, but if it happens, then, you know, it'll make us a lot of Evil Dead fans happy, including those that I already know on Twitter that are going to be freaking out about it if it gets announced. And then The Weeknd 3 times, but like I said, unofficial announcement. I still count it as an announcement. But either way, so yeah, those are the probabilities that I believe that are going to be at the event this year. But we may never know, because in statistics, we will probably have another announcement coming really soon based on the release dates that they did for the announcement for last year. So literally, Jack gets announced last year around the middle of June. Then we get the Bride of Frankenstein house announcement along with Texas Chainsaw Massacre on July 8th of last year. And then around August, we actually get the HHN Icons announcement. So I'm going to assume we're going to get something like that this within the end of the month or something in the beginning of August. So let's talk about being a Frequent Fear pass holder. So the Frequent Fear, it is a multi-night ticket where it allows you to go to Halloween Horror Nights on several nights at a time instead of paying like an outrageous amount of times to go individual single nights. So Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood already actually got theirs, while Halloween Horror Nights actually opened up their early access to the people in the UK, because I know that people in UK are horror fanatics, but we still in Orlando still haven't gotten ours yet. But I'm gonna really hope that we get ours soon so we can all enjoy the spookiness together. Now that everything is all said and done, I hope that this video was actually helpful for you to be informed about what is going on in the HHN community, what the announcements are right now, and hopefully more details are to come as the event inches closer. And we're almost in August, so we're almost like kind of like a month and a half away, which is super exciting. So for now, I'm actually going to end this video right here. But before I end it, I do have a horror podcast under the name of Sounds from the Grave. We are coming up on our 50th episode. So if you guys don't mind, give us a follow, a subscribe on all social media platforms. We are located on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Music, anywhere that you can listen to podcasts. And please support us as we actually celebrate our 50th episode for our lovely little podcast. We have been at this for quite some time, especially during the pandemic. It was something to do, and we just talk about horror, all the haunts, Halloween Horror Nights, and a lot of horror movies as well. So please help and support us, and also follow our social media, because we might actually be doing a little giveaway for the person who, you know, comments the most stuff on our Sounds from the Grave Twitter, especially. That's where we're most active. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give me a like and subscribe. And if you guys still haven't followed me, follow me on HHNCultus on Twitter, which I will mostly be posting some Halloween Horror Nights updates there, you know, also retweeting some of my other Horror Nights friends. And I will let you guys know when I post the next video. I hope to be more active from now until the start of Halloween Horror Nights. So if you guys want to meet up at Horror Nights, say hi. I would more than love to hang out with more Halloween Horror Nights fanatics such as myself. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day and stay spooky.